to the OVERDRIVE Digital Show. In a few moments from now, our experts Bert and Rohit will join in to answer all your motoring queries. So do write them in the comments section. Let's start the show with the new Renault EV. Yes, you heard that right. Renault is contemplating bringing the Megane E-Tech to India. It would be the French brand's first EV offering in our shows, and it's not a surprise. They're mulling over this decision quite a bit. So they decided to send Bert along with a select few journalists to Spain to drive this car and let the French manufacturer know whether this car might fit in well with other EVs selling in India today.
I'm here in a not so sunny Spain to drive Renault's latest, the Megane Electric. Now this electric car is something that Renault is considering for India. They're contemplating whether they want to start their electric vehicle business in India with the Megane. This is the 5th generation Megane. It has come after the Megane, the fantastic looking coupe-ish kind of a sport hot hatch. But what we're here also is to tell Renault whether a car of this sort makes sense for India, how appealing it is to drive, and that will effectively weigh in on their considerations for getting the Megane Electric to India. For a hatchback, it's almost 4.2 meters in length. The space inside this cabin can seem a little tighter. However, this is not the best adjustment for the driver's seat. You can still go a little further ahead. You would get good amounts of knee room. There's a lot of headroom, as you can see, and what I do like is that it's got a flat floor, and this is also because it's an electric vehicle, so the battery sits under the floor pan over here. It's about 7.5 centimeters thick. It's a very, very thin battery pack that Renault has innovated on. And it allows you to get a lot more space inside the cabin. Of course, there's also some insulation material that prevents the battery electrical noises, or for that matter, even heat insulation that prevents that from coming into the cabin over here. But all in all, it's a fantastic cabin. The Megane E that we're driving now, this comes with the 60 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that develops about 218 horsepower with 300 Newton meters of torque, which is more than adequate for a car of this size. It's a fairly competent battery as well, because Renault's again worked heavily on the battery management system. And since we left this morning, we've seen a range of over 350 kilometers, which of course has dropped down now to about 254 kilometers. With the battery showing about 73% charge left in it, which means we've consumed about 27% of charge to do just a little about 100 kilometers. I've still got 73% left, which means the range, depending on my driving habit or my driving style, could improve. I am in comfort mode, and if I had to slip down into eco, that range would increase by a significant amount. So one of the innovations on the Megane E is the steering ratio, the variable steering ratio. Now Renault's kind of enhanced this considerably. So the amount of effort that you require is very little, but the turning radius also, or rather the number of turns that the steering takes, is almost 1/12 that would take on any of their competitors. So that's it, just about 10 degrees, and you get a fair amount of turn in the front wheels. You can see I'm coming up to a corner, and that's all the turn that I require. There's hardly about 10 degrees of steering turn that I need to put in to get the wheels to turn in the direction that I want to go in. So the directness is of course there, but it takes a little getting used to, because this is something new, and we never ever experienced this kind of precision and of course low effort ever before. The Megane Electric has 4 levels of regeneration, which can be selected by using the paddle shifters. One of them, of course, is the coasting mode, where if you're going downhill, you just kind of coast down, and that would recharge the batteries. In addition, you've got 3 more levels. What I do like is that the intensity, the braking intensity when you let go of the throttle, isn't very harsh, it isn't very violent. Though you do sense that the engine braking has come on and that the batteries are now charging themselves, it still is a fairly easy, supple, comfortable car to drive, whether you're driving it in urban conditions or in the twisties like I am right now. Another aspect of the Megane Electric is the performance. Now, this used to be a sporty hatchback, and those intentions haven't gone away. Renault has continued to maintain it. In fact, with the electric powertrain, and this is a front-wheel drive hatchback, keep that in mind, you still get a 0 to 100 of about 7.2 kilometers is what Renault claims, which is incredibly fast because just about a few years ago, this was sports car territory. But now, everyday hatchbacks like the Megane Electric are perfectly capable of such blistering speeds. Top speed, however, is capped at 160 kilometers an hour in the interests of giving out the best range possible. Another area that Renault has worked on extensively is the suspension, and it uses, the Megane Electric uses an independent suspension all round, but it's got a multi-link setup at the rear. Ride quality is pretty impressive. You've got very compliant ride quality, stability as well, because we aren't pushing the car around too hard, but you do get a sense of body roll, especially in these twisty sections. There is a little bit of body roll, no jitters, no unwavering from its line, but yes, the body roll is apparent.
If Renault were to bring this car to India, it would be ideal to employ a ckda operation. This, of course, would make the Megane Electric more affordable and hopefully see some scalable volumes. It would also set the benchmark in marrying luxury, comfort, practicality, and when the mood arises, some high voltage action in a hatchback.
Well, in case you missed this entire story, it is going to go live on our YouTube channel at 7:30 p.m. So you can watch out for that review once again. Let's get Bert and Rohit on the show. Hi, Bert. Hi, Rohit. But you're on mute.
Hi, Sohini. Hi, Bert. Hello, everyone.
Hi guys, hi. Sorry, I was on mute. There you see you see Rohit luxuriating. He just had to do this. Burn. This I had to burn all of us.
I know.
So
Rohit,
guys,
I
what
had
is
anyone
to
this
out
do
there
this.
can guess
luxury
what
car
car he
you're
is
sitting
in?
in? Let people know.
What
Yeah, I think
car is he in?
I think we should certainly award a subscription to the first person who guesses what car I am in right now.
That'd be too
It
easy.
shouldn't be too difficult. It shouldn't be
Yeah, guys,
too difficult.
this is your chance to win the OVERDRIVE digital subscription if you guess it right. What
Yeah.
car is Rohit sitting in?
It
Yeah,
shouldn't be
guys,
too
this is your chance to win. Anish Thomas says EQ. Rohit, is that right?
No.
What car is Rohit sitting
Yash has got it. Yash has got it.
in?
But Yash
Yash
has only got.
and Mayur Shah. No, Rohit, is that right?
All these guys have got subscriptions, haven't they? Yash has got it. Yash has got it. But Yash has only got.
Okay, we can hear our voice. Okay.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yes, Rohit, is sitting in the Mercedes Maybach S class. You're right. A lot of people have got it. Wow, Rohit, have you been Instagramming while shooting?
Not at all. Not at all, in fact. So that clearly shows that our viewers here are very well versed with what's happening in the world of auto right now. So yes, this is indeed the Maybach.
But you know what? All these guys have already got subscriptions.
Yeah. So sorry, guys.
I don't think Sumit Boy hasn't got it. Atul Benoy
Sumit
hasn't
Boy?
got it.
Okay.
Wait. This is are you sitting in the S580? This also matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this also matters. Exactly. So has
The devil is in the
someone said
details.
S580 then?
So,
Atul and Mayur are saying the S580.
So yes, this is the S580. This is with the V8, not the V12. But yeah. So this is the S580 Maybach that I am in right now.
All right.
So those who have
That
guessed
What?
it right,
he isn't driving, that he is luxuriating in the rear seat.
yeah,
Rohit,
I'm not
please turn the
behind the wheel
camera
today.
around. I'm sure your legs are all stretched out. You're just kind of casually
So what,
Yes,
Rohit?
yes, they
lounging.
are. But I'm in my Crocs right now, so please don't judge. But yeah, that's the kind of space I have, and yeah,
Oh,
and
magnificent.
yeah,
Lovely.
the
Some
three
people
M's,
lead, some
and
people
that's the
lead a
dashboard.
Rohit,
luxurious life, while others have to go
Rohit,
and drive small hatchbacks, electric hatchbacks.
Small electric hatchbacks. Yeah, learn how to steer. Learn how to steer in the
Yes, exactly.
in the new way now. So,
Rohit,
Bert, I
So
Mahindra
want
as
to
you
is
ask
can
you.
as you can
requesting you
see,
to
guys,
show.
the editor does not always doesn't always call the shots.
Well, for all those of you who
Rohit,
are listening to Bert's cry right now, he went to Spain to drive this. So he's hopefully broken the jinx. Now, hopefully, all the travel will open up. Hopefully, we'll get to travel to different places and uh, you know drive nice cars in nice places around the world. And yeah, we are just looking forward to it. But Bert, I wanted to
So
ask you how
I spent 48 hours traveling to Spain to drive a car for 8 hours, not even 8 hours, drive a car for 2 hours.
that unfortunately is how our junkets are. I remember
Yes.
Bert once traveled for 3 days to drive a car for an hour on the track. But anyway, so that's the rear of the car. I think someone was requesting that's the rear of the car. Uh, Someone even got it right. That is the S580 Maybach. That's the Maybach badging right there. And I really like how they have done the tail lights. They've been doing some really cool tail lights lately. I even like the taillights they did on the S Coupe, and I like how they have done this. I don't know if the camera is catching it that well, but it's actually a very nice 3D effect. It actually feels like all these lights are hanging, right? So it looks really nice. And that's the Maybach badging again over there. And let me show you the front. That's the front of the car. I love those wheels. And that Maybach grill, massive grill, lots of chrome as well. And this is the three-pointed star, of course, and that chrome strip that you get on the Maybach. You'll also see the radars here. Since I'm on the topic, you'll also see the radars here. This has adaptive cruise control. So they've finally done that on this car, and it works really well. That is what I've been trying out today. So this story will be out on Overdrive very soon. So I'm going to go back into my seat.
you should show us the gesture control. We would really
The
like to
gesture
see that
control,
as well.
honestly, the gesture control is something that I'm trying to get to work at. This is a brand new car, so some features haven't been activated yet. So they are trying to figure that out. So they'll do this and then we'll shoot those. But this is a brand new car, literally a brand new car that has been sent over to us. So we are privileged today.
Okay. You enjoy sitting there? But we
Yeah.
have a couple of questions for you.
Sure. Go ahead.
Prabhan wants to know how much will this Megane cost? It should be reasonably priced.
Well, Prabhan, it will be reasonably priced because what Renault is looking at is a CKD operation, which means it will be assembled here in India, similar to how MG, for instance, is doing it with the ZS EV. And I think if they're able to get it down within, as a CKD operation rather than, importing it into the country, that pricing also should be somewhere similar to the ZS EV, thereabouts. So I'm looking at roughly about a 25 lakh rupee price tag. Now, because it is a hatchback, however, that might seem like a fair amount of money to pay for a car of this sort. But don't forget, this is probably one of the largest hatchbacks you would have ever encountered. There isn't a hatchback of this order or of this size in the country, has never been in the country except for I think the A45s. So essentially, what we're looking at is something like the A45 or somewhere where the B class used to be, something similarly sized. That's where the Megane E-Tech, the electric, is. So yeah, I would assume a price
band for it, if I had to, judiciously put it in, would be somewhere in that 25 lakh rupee bracket.
Which I
What
don't
would
think is
you?
bad, Bert, because the
No,
size
no, it's not too
comparison that
bad.
you're making, I think it competes. The regular Megane competes with the likes of the Golf, which means that this car is around.
Yes.
It's going to be around the same size as the T-Roc that Volkswagen was selling in limited numbers, and it's approximately the same price. If the price estimate that you're saying is what Renault brings it at, is around the same price as a T-Roc. And if you're getting that size, if people bought the T-Roc so willingly, that size of a car with an electric powertrain, why not? And I think the Megane Electric also looks quite good. I was watching the review right now, and I think it looks quite good. It's got a really nice sporty poise to it.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic looking car. I am hoping that the imagery that we've captured, because all of this we're using some B-roll, but a lot of it was shot entirely on my phone as well. So no professional equipment, just a simple smartphone doing whatever it had to do. So, but it looks good. What I want to point out here is that it definitely looks good. It looks premium, and with that, it kind of takes a very upmarket positioning that, anyways, would command an upmarket positioning. It's quite unlike what the previous generation Megane used to be, which looked a lot more sportier. If you look at the images of the last generation Megane, that very coupe silhouette that it had, nice flared arches, far more rounded contours to the body style. It looked a lot more, dynamic in that sense. This certainly looks a lot more practical, but also looks almost like a small minivan, not minivan, I'd say, it's a compact SUV for that matter. But yeah, it's a fantastic car at the end of the day. It looks good, looks premium, looks like there is a lot of opportunity for it even in this country.
But I have one more question. You did say that it's quite premium and it looks like a large hatchback, but connected tech is very important in today's day and age. So, where does the Megane fit in that? How much can we expect from the Megane?
Well, you can expect almost as much as anyone else is offering at this point in time where connected technology is involved. What was interesting, which I could not film entirely, was that Renault has tied up with Google directly. Right, so it's not Android Auto, it's not Apple CarPlay itself. It's direct connections with Google. Google has got something called Google Auto or Google Drive, which is essentially a suite of automotive software that will be applied to various vehicles that Google ties up with, or various cars that Google ties up with. And that's what Renault has got in this car, which means what you're getting on the screen itself, you're getting Google Maps directly. So it's not served through Android Auto. It is a direct map, Google Map on that screen, and then across it there are various other Google Automotive, a suite of Google Automotive features as well, which are accessible on the touch screen. So you could basically browse the internet and do whatever you want to do on the car, in the car itself. So in that sense, it is very very connected.
Okay. We have a question from Bhargava. He wants to know why are most electric cars being imported like luxury EVs and the Kona?
Right now, because there isn't a market to, the business to justify, business case to justify building these cars here in India, or making these cars here in India, we still don't have those kind of volumes, Bhargav. So essentially, it's easier for a manufacturer to just keep in mind, all manufacturers are given subsidies for using those that 4,000 units, under that import route, which they can import without getting it homologated and without, a few other benefits as well. So they're utilizing that benefit right now to introduce electric cars, see what the response is from the market, understand that, and then slowly in time they will, some of these cars, for or at least more of these cars will come down to India, employing the CKD route once scale goes up. And I think in another 5 years or 6 years time, you will see some more of them manufacturing these cars locally, also for that matter. A manufacturing operation, however, keep in mind, will require a fair amount of scale. So you need to see at least, I would assume, anywhere about 1,000 cars a month, going up to, going upwards and to wherever it can. But you need to see at least those kind of volumes for a manufacturer to justify manufacturing that car in India itself. But right now, what most manufacturers are doing is taking the benefit of those regulations and just introducing the cars, and that's why they're importing them. There are limited numbers that they can bring in. Also, globally, keep in mind, India is still not a very attractive market for electric cars. It's still not ripe for electric cars like how Europe or North America is at this point in time.
So what happens also is that the parent companies have a smaller allotment for markets like India, for Asian markets, certain other markets as well, not just India for that matter. So a manufacturer might get an allotment for, let's say, 200 or 400, or maybe at best, if it's and so far there hasn't been anyone, but it could be also 1,000 odd cars depending on what the portfolio is. But that those 4,000 cars need to be shared amongst all of the various brands, or at least the various products that are there. So if, let's say, Mercedes Benz today does, I think, around close to about 29 different cars, SUVs, sports cars that they offer in India. Now, 29 cars, all of them cannot be brought in as CBUs to, avail of those benefits from that 4,000 unit, that regulation. So they will choose and pick a few. The AMGs will come in. Maybe a sedan would have come in. Like, for instance, what Rohit is driving, the S580 comes in as a CBU. The S400, that will be built over here in India. So they make these decisions based on what kind of demand is there in the market, and what allotments they're able to get from overseas, from their parent company.
All right. Rohit, there's a question for you. Aman wants to know how fun is the V8 to drive in the S580? Does Mercedes brand take away the driving pleasure of the V8 for comfort?
Well, to
Rohit,
an extent,
I think we should
yes.
keep these answers for when we have the review out, shouldn't we?
I think,
We'd
yeah,
save these
that's
questions.
that's not a bad idea. Aman,
Yeah,
all I can
let's
tell
get
you
the full
is,
review out.
yes, let's wait for the review. You know, I don't think they will take away the fun, but we'll come to you with the review with all the numbers as well to back whatever we are going to say in the review. So let's just stay tuned for that. Today
Rohit,
I'm just going to show off the pillows today, nothing else.
Rohit, just one request. Is it a quiet place where you are? Then, maybe it's better to stand outside with a little more light.
It's very windy. It's going to start raining right now where I am.
Oh, okay,
There's
okay.
thundering
Okay.
happening as well, and it's very windy, which is the reason why I'm here because I'm not even getting network inside the house. So that's the reason why I'm
Okay.
outside and in the car, and of course because I also want to show off the pillows.
Okay. But here's a question from S. Aurora. When is the Honda City Hybrid or the upcoming Seltos expected to launch in India?
Well, again, still no timelines on when these cars are going to be coming down to India. What we do know is that this year, uh, Kia is going to focus on the Carens, and that will be the one model that they're coming into the market with at this point in time. There is no update. There are not going to be any updates as such on the Seltos. A lot of their business this year will be about consolidating and making sure that they're able to deliver the units that they're already selling. Keep in mind, there's delays affecting the global automotive industry due to the semiconductor shortage, due to supply chain shortages, and of course now because of the tensions that exist between Russia and Ukraine, all of that will affect business. And Most manufacturers are now trying to kind of consolidate and make sure that their consumers are receiving their products at the end of the day. So we don't expect anything coming up from Kia. It is nothing significant enough. The Honda City Hybrid also, there is already plans for that. They will be announcing something. They're still not ready entirely to come out with that. But I guess within the next month, we were asked this question last week as well. But I think it will take us till about another 3 to 4 weeks to get a response from Honda as to what is happening on the Honda City Hybrid.
All right. Bala Surya wants to know what's your opinion on the TSI engine's reliability?
Is it good in terms? Yes, absolutely, Balasudya. There is no concern with reliability on the TSI engines. Yes, there could always be the one odd issue that you would hear about. And yes, engineering and manufacturing in India still isn't 100% foolproof process, but it's the same everywhere around the world. There are machines at the end of the day, and something or the other could go wrong. However, having said that, there aren't any major concerns and nothing to really worry about. Turbocharged direct injection engines also for that matter. So it's perfectly fine, perfectly reliable for day-to-day use.
Sumit has an interesting question. Flex fuel engines, will they reach out to masses and will they be affordable at the same time?
Well, we don't know as of now because no one's really offering flex fuel engines just now. And The other problem is going to be the availability of fuels as well. All the petrol pumps have to be upgraded to provide that kind of fuel. Will it be affordable? Yes, it will be affordable, and that is not a concern at all at this point in time. It's only a question of when this will be incorporated into and come out for consumers in the mass market.
Prabhan had one more question. He wanted to know, will it be viable to convert his SUV to an electric after 15 years of use, and what will be the cost, and should he go with it after 15 years or not?
Oh, tricky question, Prabhan. Okay, I'm assuming that you will buy an SUV now, and then 15 years from now you would want to convert it into an electric. Honestly, 15 years from now, it just wouldn't make any sense to do that because the cost of building that electric, the powertrain that you would require, not just the motors, the batteries as well, will be very very expensive. It wouldn't make sense to do something of that sort. It would be far easier to just buy another SUV 15 years down the line, which would be an electric in any case. So I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend you to do that. Now, if you've been using an SUV since, let's say, the last 10 years or so, and the next few years you want to convert it to electric, there aren't too many players, or rather, aren't too many people in the market who are doing this right now and who are doing this safely enough. Keep in mind, when you change the powertrain of the vehicle, also you're changing a lot of the regulations or a lot of the requirements that it was registered with. So all that process also will have to be followed, which means you will have to go get your car homologated, and that's not a process that you as an individual want to get into. There are just too many complications with this. Right now, a lot of there are not a lot. There are a few who are trying and experimenting with doing this with two wheelers, not with four wheelers in the country. But even for them, the same rules will apply. Once they change the powertrain, they'll have to get it re-registered, which means they'll have to go in for to get in homologation as well. So all of these issues are something that you wouldn't want to deal with on an individual level. It'd just be safer, 15 years from now to buy an electric SUV that exists in the market. They will also be more affordable at that point in time.
Right. Ashraf wants to know, are turbo GDI engines reliable or sustainable in the long run?
Well, I've already answered Ashraf for the TSI engines as well. And really, there is not much of a difference over here. The only question is with GDI also that there'll be a time limit now for all of these engines because within the next decade or so, a lot of these will get obsolete, not just because of because of depleting fuel requirements, but also because governments are mandating it across countries. So that's the only concern. Apart from that, there really isn't any reliability issues as such.
All right, Rohit, here's a question for you. Lohit
Yeah, yeah.
wants to
Wait, wait,
know
wait.
what.
Before I answer the question,
Huh.
see, gesture, it worked,
Oh,
and
sweet!
let's hope
I didn't
even
know the sunroof also worked on gesture controller.
Yeah, even
yes,
I
even I
thought it
didn't know
was
that.
only
I
the
just found
door.
out, and let's try this. Okay, this
Rohit, your
one
wife is not
is.
going to like that because that is what it's supposed to be doing. You're just aimlessly moving, waving your hand around.
I know.
You
I think
don't have the right
it
gesture.
worked.
Oh,
It
you
worked.
did!
It worked. Yes,
Yeah.
it worked. It worked.
It
A few
worked. It
attempts.
worked. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It worked.
Lovely.
So
So
after
yes, the gesture
several
controls are working.
waves of the hand, it did work. Wonderful. I hope you Google mapped where you position your hand and everything and how you had to move it.
Yeah, I think I'll have to do that. Exactly. I think a few more tries and it should be perfect.
All right, super. While Rohit is waving his hand around, Sony, what is the next question?
Yes. Rohit, Lohit wants to know what essentially is the difference between a Skoda and Volkswagen car. Which brand do you suggest, given that they share a lot of cars in their portfolios?
Well, I think we'll have to take it case to case basis. Like I said in my Taigun review, that between the Kushaq and the Taigun, I would certainly prefer the Taigun. It just feels a little bit more expensive. It just feels a little bit more justified for that particular price tag that both the cars are operating in. But now I have not driven the new Virtus yet. In fact, I wanted to ask Bert, how are they pronouncing it exactly? Is it Virtus? Is it Virtus? What is it exactly? Because I've been hearing
Virtus is what I
Virtus.
heard. Yeah, Virtus is what I've heard
Okay,
at the preview. So I think we'd stick
right,
with that for now, unless until someone corrects us and says otherwise. Someone
right.
official
So
from the company.
Virtus, I mean, I like what I've seen so far on paper and in the photographs that Bert shared on the OVERDRIVE social media handle as well. So I like how it looks. I know what the engines are going to perform like. Of course, there are going to be a few features here and there that will be exclusive to both the cars for the Slavia and the Virtus. So I think it's going to primarily come down to how they look and which look do you prefer, which design do you prefer, which is that exclusive feature that you would want particularly out of the two cars. I think it's going to come down to that because the tuning is very similar, especially with the Kushaq and the Taigun. The Taigun was slightly softly sprung, and these were last minute changes to the tuning that they did, is what they told us, because of the feedback received for the Kushaq from the customers as well as the media, that some people felt the Kushaq was a bit too stiff, a bit too firm, and that's why they went with a slightly softer setup for the Taigun. Sorry about that. That was a phone call. I hope you can still hear me. So yeah, I think it's down to a personal preference of what features and what design do you prefer out of the two cars. Engineering wise, they're going to be very closely matched. And of course, if you start going back into the other vehicles where they did this kind of platform sharing between the Skoda Octavia and the Jetta, I would pick up the Jetta. Of course, there is no Jetta RS, but the Octavia RS did exist. So that is the car that I would pick up if I had to stretch for a more powerful car, etc., etc. So I think you have to take it case to case basis, model to model basis. Between the Kodiaq and the Tiguan, I would pick up the Kodiaq. I like the versatility of it. I like the way that car handles. I like the way they have managed to, make that car perform despite the extra length and everything. So you will have to go case to case basis.
All
So
right.
I'll also provide another answer over here, Lohit, and which I'm assuming also what you want is a far more generalized answer in that sense. There is technically the only difference between Skoda and Volkswagen is of course their origins. Volkswagen is a German company, Skoda is a Czech company, and at some point Skoda was bought over by Volkswagen and made part of the group. Now, essentially, also within this, what happened is both of these manufacturers manufactured mass market cars, and the global market was kind of divided up between the two. If you remember, Skoda was the first one to enter the country far earlier than Volkswagen did. So that was kind of their strategy initially. Strategies changed when Volkswagen came into the country. It was easier for them to build on scale, and for any manufacturer today, you see these associations happening between several manufacturers. Whether it's for example, Toyota and Maruti, also with the Glanza and the Brezza and all the optional products from the other manufacturers concerned. But what I'm saying is that large manufacturers like this, like the Volkswagen Group, which has got not just Skoda under the brand, it's got several other brands under that umbrella. Well, the market for Skoda and Volkswagen essentially, petered off in the same direction. They were both making affordable cars as well, and global markets are then divided. The strategy in India, for instance, changed once Volkswagen also came into the country, with Volkswagen taking a lead and Skoda trailing behind. Uh, 2 years ago, well, there was a new, India 2.0 strategy put into place where Skoda took the lead and Volkswagen was made to trail behind. Now, what they've also done is for higher profitability, economies of scale, the engineering work is the same. So essentially, what you're getting effectively is the same car. What Skoda is injecting into that product is their design philosophy, is their philosophy concerning values and the value that you would derive from that vehicle. So that's what you see essentially in cars like the Kushaq, or whether you see it in the Slavia for that matter. Now, Volkswagen has got the same thing, and Volkswagen injects its own philosophies, its own character into their own car, into their cars, which again is the same platform. Like I said, is the MQB AO platform shared by both, or not just both. In fact, every car maker within the group, for that matter, shares similar platforms. Seat, for example, in Europe also has a similar platform, and it goes on in this manner. So all of this, this is how the two are differentiated currently. Apart from global markets, however, there are other products, some that which are exclusive to Volkswagen alone, some that are exclusive to Skoda alone. But largely for the Indian market, they share most of the products because the platform is the same. It's just a matter of changing the top hat and then putting it out into the market. Now, which brand do I suggest, given that they share a lot of cars in their portfolios? Again, it depends over here. For some people, it's a personal choice. For some, what Volkswagen does feels far more sophisticated, more with subtle, more elegant design, and compared to where Skoda is, which is flashier, which is also which is also equally exciting, which is equally nice. Some people, Skoda's design language, Skoda's features, the way they, lay out their cabins and they lay out their interiors, might appeal to a few people compared to what Volkswagen does. Similarly, what Volkswagen does might appeal to a few more people compared to what Skoda does. So it's a very personal choice that you would have, and what you should choose, what you should dictate your choice.
All right, Lohit, since you've asked us about the Volkswagen, we also have a walk around review of the Virtus. Bert was at the Global Angle. Take a look at it.
What you see behind me is Volkswagen's latest entrant into the sedan segment. This is the Virtus. It's a mid-size sedan, but about 4.5 meters long. This is a fairly large segment. Now, of course, this will replace the Vento and will become one of the mainstays for them in the sedan segment. Now, this Virtus is built on the same platform as what you see in the Taygun, which is the MQB AOIN platform. Again, two engine options on this, the 1.5 petrol, which will be the larger, more powerful engine, with the 1 litre turbo petrol as well serving, which of course will be the more mass market product for Volkswagen in India. Now, quite a few differentiators. What we see behind me is the GT line, and several visual cues differentiate this sedan from the standard Virtus, and one of them is going to be, if you come around here, what you can see are the calipers and those blacked out alloys right there. Of course, that black trim on the front bumper and the slightly different visual treatment on the front end compared to the standard sedan. You can see the badge for the GT line right there. Now, the 1.5 litre Virtus makes about 150 horsepower, with the 115 horsepower coming in from the 1 litre turbo petrol. A lot of space inside the cabin. Now, some of the virtues also that you'll see several similarities shared with Skoda's Kushaq. One of them is, of course, the high ground clearance, which Skoda has, well, that's the stance Skoda has taken, but Volkswagen is pitching it for its length, which is, of course, also the longest in the segment. 4.5 meters, as I said, is one of the longest in the segment, which also means you get a fair amount of room inside the cabin right there. Interesting take, of course, from Volkswagen, because the sedan segment, as we're seeing currently, is not doing too well in India, but still what Volkswagen is hoping is that the Virtus can revive that segment, bring in numbers in again. Of course, I don't expect those numbers to be close to what the Taygun is getting. Nonetheless, this should certainly refresh what the market is able to deliver at this point in time. Let's quickly get you inside the car and show you what the interior looks like. It's a funky, nice, very pleasing design. What I do like about this car is that it looks sophisticated, it looks quite mellowed down, not flashy in that sense, and despite it having the same DNA that Volkswagen has injected, we are expecting some good dynamics, good ride quality from the Virtus. Another thing is that the tires and wheels, well, what you're getting are 205, 55, 16-inch alloys and alloys and tires, and these, of course, are Seat Securas, the Seat Secura drive. Well, Volkswagen is talking about how this car will have good dynamics and be a fun-to-drive car. I'm not entirely sure if this tire, the Seat Secure drive, would be able to deliver that, but we'll wait for the full drive for that assessment. You can also notice the red calipers, what you've seen. Again, nice, long, elegant lines across the length of the bodywork. And I'm very quickly going to take you inside the cabin and show you what it looks like. Certain other additions that you would see on the GT line, exclusive to the GT line, are the red trim on the door panels, or the red trim on the dashboard. And of course, the screens, which will have the red highlights instead of the standard blue that you would see on the standard versions of the Virtus. Just what you can see on the dashboard, of course, you've got very important features are the ventilated seats functions over there, right there. This is, well, very conducive for Indian conditions. Fantastic screen. This display is what you've seen on the Taygun already. Clarity, functionality has been quite impressive. What you'll also notice is you've got paddle shifters right here behind the steering wheel. Again, quite functional for Indian conditions or for our driving conditions, where you don't have to, you can even effectively get it manual mode. I do like the red stitching on the seats. Again, this is exclusive to the GT line. Apart from that, otherwise, this is still the conventional car. What's interesting is that the 6 color options that Volkswagen is talking about, that the Virtus will be available for the GT trim as well. And of course, bookings for this car will start immediately, and deliveries, we are expecting it to begin from April, maybe the second week or the third week at the latest. So, in a short time from now, we will get you a full drive report of the Virtus. Hang on to that and stay tuned to Overdrive. Get onto our YouTube channel and watch it on CNBC, and we will have a full report for you on just how this car feels like to drive.
But my very first question to you, what was this beeping inside the car?
Well, that was the doors open. Someone had switched on the ignition. So yes, that was the sound that we kept hearing.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
Um,
so not unfortunately, I'd say actually, the thing was this was the first time in a very long time we've come back to Pragati Maidan, and like always, there was the usual rush of journalists all around the cars. It was a packed hall, a very large audience also for that matter. Post-COVID times, you can see a lot of people roaming around without, most of the people roaming around without masks. And fingers crossed right now that this isn't one of those super spreader events, but uh, we got to see this Virtus, and there were, yes, it was a constant fight trying to get into the passenger seat and into the driver's seat to kind of get shots and to speak about the car. Yeah, it just felt like how Auto Expo used to feel like in the past. This was exactly that kind of mood and sentiment in that. But it was fantastic seeing Pragati Maidan all over again, and it just looks brilliant. It looks so modern, so contemporary. Unlike anything we have experienced in the past, the buildings are entirely new. There are escalators to walk around, large, lovely hallways. Where exhibition spaces for the automotive industry. If they ever come back to Pragati Maidan to hold the Auto Expo, I think it's one of the most contemporary halls, show venues, exhibition centers we've got in the country today.
okay. What Nitin wants to know, does the Virtus feel built better than the Skoda Slavia?
Too early to say, Nitin, until and unless we've driven the car, to be honest. But what I'll tell you is that yes, build quality on neither of these cars, at least I wouldn't say build quality, but shut lines, felt quite impressive. There are no doubts about this. But these are initial cars, initial production cars for that matter. Uh, Give it some time, and once Volkswagen gets into, or both the Volkswagen Group gets into optimizing costs, we might see some issues with build quality. We might, I'm saying again, see some issues with build quality. We've seen some build quality issues previously in the Polo, for instance, where over a period of time, quality, took a little bit of a backseat. But right now, these cars, well, they're nicely finished, well turned out in that sense. And I don't think we should. I really don't think there's a comparison over here between the Slavia and the Virtus. But I'll keep that opinion and that assessment for when we actually drive the car. We've taken it around, understood what the interiors feel like. Does it make any sounds? Are there any creaky panels? Anything loosening out? Which in this day and age is tough, but it could always happen.
All right. Dilip Kumar says that seems like Volkswagen and Skoda are looking to revive the hidden interest for great looking sedans like the Slavia and the Virtus, but diesel engines would have made a big difference.
Well, yes, Dilip, diesel engines would certainly have gotten a few more numbers for the Volkswagen Group, and I'm sure they definitely feel the effects of not having a diesel powertrain. But nonetheless, they are quite happy where they are at this point in time. The numbers are good for the Kushaq and for the Tygoon. Keep that in mind. So they're quite pleased with the kind of response the market has shown towards those two products. Will these two sedans, with both the Slavia and the Virtus, revive the sedan segment again? It's tough to say, but they certainly have the potential to do so. I do think that the Virtus looks fairly sophisticated, it looks premium, it looks upmarket in that sense. It's almost as long as the Octavia used to be at one point in time. I think the Octavia is just a little longer than this. The length is and proportions are a little larger than the Virtus or the Slavia for that matter. But almost a decade and a half ago, this is almost where the Octavia used to be. So in that sense, even this segment has grown. There are a lot more benefits to these new platforms that Volkswagen is now offering in India. The diesel powertrain, again, we've gotten to a conversation with both Skoda and Volkswagen, and diesel is not something that's going to come anytime soon. There is still probably a couple of years more, and then we possibly see a diesel powertrain. But for right now, it's only petrol.
All right. We have plenty in terms of news, so we'll quickly dive into that as well. The second generation MGZS EV with a larger battery is now in India starting at 22 lakh rupees. Most talked about is the new 50.3 kilowatt hour battery pack with a more powerful electric motor, putting out 176 PS, leading to a ARAI certified driving range of up to 461 kilometers from the previous 419 kilometers. There's plenty of new styling changes to the exterior, but the interior now resembles the Aster's in terms of its dash layout and features a new 10.1-inch touchscreen with the AI assistant, a 7-inch digital instrument cluster, powered seats, panoramic sunroof, e-brake, and lots more. The ZSEV also gets some of the advanced safety systems that are available with the Aster, although not the full level 2 ADAS capability. Bert also spoke to Rajeev Chaba, the president and MD of MG Motor India, post the launch. Have a listen.
So, Rajeev, first of all, congratulations. You've successfully had the ZSEV in the market currently, and now you've brought out the next generation of the ZSEV, taking further this journey with electrification from MG Motors in India. How does it feel, to be the first manufacturer also in the country, for that matter, to take this second generation car, or rather to bring the second generation car into the Indian market?
No, thanks a lot, Patro. I feel really good and satisfied and a little bit vindicated that on our stance of launching ZSEV way back in 2019 and first quarter 2020, when the whole Indian market industry size was 2,000 units a year, and I remember that we got 2,500 bookings in the first month. We have been given allocation of 6,000 cars this year from the global. So 6,000 cars is probably the ZSEV numbers we are looking at, and most of it is already booked for the year.
I just wanted to know on the home chargers, the wall box units that you are providing to consumers, what is the charging capacity on that? Because these are type 2, from what I understand, they are type 2 AC chargers. They should ideally be charging at 22 kilowatt per hour. But is that the same speed, or would it be a slightly?
So these are 7.5 kilowatt hour charger, which we are installing at customer's house primarily, or if the customer says that primary area is office, we install at office. And as you know, that we again had a startup, which is supporting this whole thing. So they come inspect your house, if suppose you're going to have this charging at house, and they take care of the load, and if you have to ask for approval for extension of load, they help you in obtaining that. So they basically come, inspect, and install the charger at your place. Now 7.5 kilowatt and the price of the charger is, and the cable, extra cable required, whatever is part of the pricing of the car, that takes approximately 6 to 7 hours for charging. So you basically can do overnight kind of a charging. You come back at 8-ish, 9-ish, and then it can charge in 6 to 7 hours, and you are good to go. Earlier it was official range was 419, now it's 461 kilometers.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Rajeev. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and all the best, to the ZSEV as well.
Thank you very much. Take care and hope to see you soon.
Well, Bert had quite a few more pertinent questions. You can check out the entire interview on the Overdrive website or on Facebook as well. Moving on, Lexus India has launched the second generation NX350H in the country, starting from 64.90 lakh rupees. This SUV is now based on the Lexus new global architecture K, which makes it 20 millimeter longer, 20 millimeter wider, and 5 millimeter taller than before. Interiors of the Lexus have been fully redesigned to be more intuitive, and the 64 color ambient lighting, 17 speaker Mark Levinson audio system, sunroof, heated and cooled seats are some of the highlights in this SUV. It also debuts the Lexus Safety System Plus suite of driver assistance systems that includes a pre-collision alert system, adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, cross traffic alert, and auto high beam. The NX350H now moves to a more powerful hybrid powertrain that pairs a 192 PS 2.5 liter Atkinson cycle petrol motor with a pair of electric motors to offer combined 244 PS output. This is paired with a 6-step eCVT gearbox. It's available in 3 variants, and deliveries have already begun. And last year, BMW X4 received an update in the overseas market, and the SUV coupe is now available in India with pricing beginning at 70.50 lakh rupees ex-showroom. The redesigned X4 is now available for booking on BMW India's website for a few weeks with a booking fee of 50,000 rupees. And finally, after a rigorous evaluation process by the most capable automobile journalists in the country, the Mahindra XUV 700 bedazzled our jurors with its various abilities to win the coveted title of the 2021 Indian Car of the Year. Joining the stage proudly on two wheels was the TVS Raider, winning the Indian Motorcycle of the Year award, while the uber luxurious Mercedes-Benz S-Class took top honors in the premium car category, and the Green Car Award for the best electric vehicle in India has been awarded to Audi India for the e-tron. So, congratulations once again to all the winners. On that note, though, I'd like to mention that we also have the Overdrive Awards coming up in a few weeks' time. So, manufacturers have a lot more to celebrate soon. Right. But Rohit, I think both of you are on mute.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry, it
sorry,
started raining in
sorry.
fact, so I'm not sure if you can hear me clearly. The network's
No, we
pretty bad.
can't hear that. But let me just quickly take. There was a question that came in about the ZS EV and it having lower ground clearance than before. The current generation having a slightly lower ground clearance than before. I can't see where the question was and who asked that question, but I noticed it earlier. So, but I'll take that question and answer that for you guys right now. What essentially also has happened is that MG has gone with a larger battery pack. So it's quite likely because of the larger battery pack, the dimensions of the battery would have also changed. And to accommodate that, again, the platform itself or the car itself hasn't changed. It's got massively more, facelifted in that sense. It's the next generation car with added a lot of features inside. Yes, here it is. Yashad asked that and heard the ground lens is used. So there would certainly be, while MG hasn't shared specifications with us at this point in time, it is quite likely that because of that larger battery pack, the ground clearance would have reduced because that battery will now sit lower down in the car. As a result, the floor pan will also, of course, will have come lower, and that will reduce the ground clearance of the ZSE. But we will get all of this information to you, Yash, and to all those who are watching. We'll get this information to you very shortly once we've done that first drive with you.
Here's another question about MG. Lazy Wanderer wants to know MG is reportedly bringing the mini two-door EV. While he thinks it's a great idea, especially for our congested cities, but approximately 10 lakh rupees, does it make sense?
Yes, why does it not make sense if it's at around 10 lakh rupees? That's fantastic. I mean, we already know that MG's quality is not too bad at all. They're quite impressive in that sense, especially with the existing ZS EV, the Aster, what we've seen to quite an extent, even the Hector for that matter. The quality is not too bad. So, if you're able to offer a car, an electric vehicle at about 10 lakh rupees, I think it makes perfect sense. I think it's a fantastic option. I think it's a fantastic offering. The question would be, what would the range be on a car that is this small? If you're able to get about 250 plus kilometers in real world conditions, that would be great. If not, it's going to be a bit difficult trying to convince consumers to adopt or rather move away from standard ICE to an MG EV essentially if the range is low. So again, very early on right now, still a lot of rumors circulating about what they're doing. What we do know, and if you watch that interview completely, is you will hear Rajeev Chaba confirming that they have plans to get a second electric vehicle into the country, and that will happen next year. It's not too far away. But yes, let's just wait and watch and see what they have in store for us.
Kiran wants to know any update on the long-range Nexon EV.
Well, not as yet, guys. We will be talking to Tata Motors very soon enough, but so far there is no update on a long-range Nexon EV. What I can definitely tell you is that in time, Tata Motors cars will be adopting a new battery management system, possibly along with that new battery packs with the updated batteries as well. So it's quite likely with that new battery management system, and this is battery management that's been developed by Jaguar, we will see better range on the existing range of cars, and of course the future range of electric cars that will come out from Tata Motors.
But Ashraf Mujumdar says, as of today, replacing an EV battery can be very expensive, which adds to the total cost of ownership for an EV. How likely is that cost going to come down in the next 5 years or so?
Replacing EV batteries, yes, an EV battery today constitutes a significant amount in the overall cost of the vehicle. So, it ownership cost, however, is not that high. While the initial cost of acquisition is high for sure, over a period of time, keep that in mind that the cost for charging this car is significantly lower than compared to a regular ICE
vehicle, where the cost of fuel today is about 100, 110, 115 rupees per liter, and is expected to go up even higher given the kind of geopolitical situation around the world. So ownership costs right now for an EV, we've done this study in the past, and what we've discovered is that it's not significantly wide. That gap between an EV and the IC engine is still not very wide for the EV to be, for the EV to not be a comfortable purchase. You can certainly go in for an EV. Over a period of time, the costs will effectively, come down to almost the same that you would spend for a comparative IC engined vehicle, whether it's an SUV or a sedan. So cost of ownership is not really a concern at this point in time. Is the cost going to come down in the next 5 or so? Absolutely. As batteries, as more and more electric vehicles get come into the Indian market, and there are few more manufacturers of batteries for that matter, and of course battery technology also will, as a result, as scale grows up, technology will get more affordable. That cost is going to come down. Whether it will happen in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years or 15 years, that is something we're not sure about at this point in time. But undoubtedly, it will come down.
Right. Sharat Chandra wants to know, what are your expectations from Mahindra's electric vision?
What are our expectations for Mahindra's electric vision? I don't know. Let us see what those cars are. There are no expectations at this point in time. What we're hoping to see is good-looking vehicles, practical electric vehicles, spacious electric vehicles, good ride quality. Performance is of course a given because they're again running on electric motors, so they'll be fantastic in performance. What we're expecting to see is good range. I want to see range in electric from Mahindra that goes upwards of 350 kilometers, real world range for that matter. If they're able to sort that out, and they're able to offer a product with 350 plus kilometers of range, I think that will sort out all the issues, or at least whatever challenges they're facing currently with any electric vehicle that they offer. So it's only got to do with range. Apart from that, I think they've today become a manufacturer of repute. They're also, they won the Indian Car of the Year award for the XUV700, which means quality is not bad at all. It's a practical car, it's spacious, it's luxurious, it's comfortable, and it's competent as well. So, in that sense, Mahindra has established itself as a maker of cars that can be sold anywhere in the world. Electric, range, battery management, all of this is going to be the next step, and I think we can expect something quite impressive from them in this space.
All right. So, Ghosh, you've been asking us about the Virtus, whether it will be sharper in corners than the Slavia. We've not driven it, so we'll be able to answer these questions only once the car has been driven. But Aman wants to know, do you think the interior and alloy design of the Q7 is a bit bland? How does it compare to the Volvo XC90?
Well, what I can tell you is that Volvo's had a major turnaround a few years ago where design is concerned. They're sharp, they're elegant, that Scandinavian, look and feel, which is about minimalism design. It works quite well. It's given the Volvo's a very handsome stance, very handsome interiors, and I personally like it myself. The Q7, however, is not too bad at all, but it's a very German functional design, and that's in a way. What it kind of lacks, the Q7 lacks, I think, is soul, something that you see a lot of in the XC90. But apart from that, as a purely functional design, what it's supposed to do and how it's supposed to engage the driver or the passengers, the Q7 is fantastic in that sense. But all that it lacks is a bit of character, which the XC90 has loads of.
All right, Rutvik Hegde wants to know, what's your take on the Superb versus Camry? He feels his friend's BMW 5's interior felt similar to the Superb, and few places Superb felt better. What's a good choice at that price bracket, 40 to 80 lakh rupees?
Well, 40 to 80 lakh rupees, there are quite a few choices that you could have. I would recommend buying the A45S, going around having a blast in it, drive it to the market, drive it to the store, drive it to the racetrack, just go on a road trip wherever. That is the car that you should be looking at in the 40 to 8 lakh, bracket. Uh, Not a sedan, hatchback, of course, but enough of space inside it. If not that, you've got the M340i. Again, another brilliant car, phenomenal sedan, great performance, and fits, I think, a little more expensive than that 80 lakh bracket, if I'm not mistaken. Just a little wee bit more expensive than where the A45 is. I can't remember exactly what the figures, what the prices are, but it is somewhere in the same price bracket. Let me put it this way: it's somewhere in the same price bracket as the A45s. Between the Superb and the Camry, however, what you get in this Camry is tremendous amount of space, phenomenal interior fittings,
The quality is top notch. You've got the hybrid powertrain as well in that sense, which Skoda is not offering on the Superb at this point in time. The Superb, though, what you also get is great dynamics, fantastic ride quality, fantastic handling, and overall a nicer car to drive than be driven in, which the Camry is good at. It's great to be driven in the Camry compared to driving the Superb, and that's, I think, one of the principal differences between these two cars. You feel your friends BMW's 5 interior feels similar to the Superb. Well, yes and no, I would say. Keep in mind, the five's interior is definitely more upmarket than the Superb. That's when I say that, I'm talking about the quality of materials, the kind of designs, the finish, the utility you get out of that. It's all a little better, than the Superb. But yes, there are also places where the Superb is better because the Superb offers you the kind of space that the 5 Series does not at this point in time. So I think in that sense, the Superb has an advantage. There are advantages Superb has also over the 5 Series.
But you were asking about the price of the A45, A35, is it?
No, A45 to the M340i.
Okay, A45 is
Again, 70
around
lakhs or something.
90, yeah, 79 lakhs
Yeah,
ex
79 lakhs.
showroom.
I believe the M340 is somewhere over there itself. I think between that 70 to 80 lakh bracket, I think is where the M340i is. So if you wanted a great hatchback, good value, then you've got the A45, phenomenal everywhere and unforgettable car. But so is the M340i also, fantastic car, and it's a sedan. So you've got that boot. If you like sedan and that body form is what you're hooked onto, then the M340i is what you should look at.
All right. Here's an interesting question from Anish. He says that M&M had brand Reva under the umbrella. Did they miss out on the opportunity that Tata exploited with the Nexon EV?
I don't think so. I don't think they missed out on an opportunity. What they were doing with the Reva, while it was a pioneer in its segment for electric mobility, also for that matter, in this country, and I have a lot of respect for Reva and to Chetan for doing this and for initiating this so early on. I mean, that guy is an absolute visionary. Thought about this segment way before anybody else could even wanted to think about it for that matter. And in that sense, I think Reva did really established the roadmap for electric vehicles in the country. Did Mahindra, do justice? I don't think so. I think the Reva's time came and went, and it was up to Mahindra to kind of design and get, evolve the electrification plans and take it to the next level, and that's exactly what they're doing at this point in time. So I don't think they missed an opportunity, and definitely not an opportunity as where Tata exploited with the Nexon EV for that matter. I don't think it's missed opportunity in that sense. When Mahindra comes out with an electric vehicle, and they will be coming out with something, remember, this year, later this year, I know we will genuinely see a good response to that vehicle.
All right. Suresh, Gopi wants to know what about the Jeep EV? When can we expect that?
Oh, well, I think this is still some years away, at least another 3 to 4 years away. Suresh, a GPV is not going to come down to India anytime soon. They will first, take it out in the North American market, then the European markets, and then eventually come down to Asian markets. And over there as well, China will be on the target markets. Asia Pac, in the Asia Pac region, Japan will be a target market. Australia will be targets for that matter before they actually come down to India. Because India, keep in mind, if they come down to the electric vehicle, it will be a CBU. The numbers will not be very high, and they will consider whether they really want to invest, and how they want to invest in the electric vehicle market in India.
But Ravi Shankar wants to know when will Volkswagen launch their ID range of EVs in India?
Well, Ravi Shankar, good question, but we aren't entirely sure. What we do know is that the brand definitely wants to go down the electrification route, and yes, it's commonplace for it's logic dictates, or at least our emotions dictate that they should bring down something like the ID range, would be the more affordable segment. But it's quite possible that that is not what might happen, and they might get a more expensive electric vehicle in the country first to test the waters, and then of course later follow it up with cars like the ID also. So I think what Volkswagen would do, or the group would do, is to bring in the more premium cars, test the waters, and then follow up with the more affordable EVs.
All right, we're almost out of time on this week's show. We'll take one last question. Aman wants to know between the M4, how does it compare to the Porsche 718 Cayman?
Come on, you're asking about a Porsche. It doesn't matter what nomenclature it takes. It's a Porsche at the end of the day. I mean, seriously.
Do I need to say anything more? How does it matter?
All right. So we'll quickly take a look at what we have on the Overdrive show on CNBC TV 18 this week, tomorrow at 1 p.m. or Sunday at 12:30 and 8 p.m.
What you see behind me is Volkswagen's latest entrant into the sedan segment. This is the Virtus. It's a mid-size sedan, but about 4.5 meters long. This is a fairly large segment. Now, of course, this will replace the Vento and will become one of the mainstays for them in the sedan segment.
There's enough new tech, enough new features in this car to justify a full-blown review.
We are out here today with the Bounce Infinity E1 Electric. This is the first high-performance electric scooter that Bangalore-based manufacturer Bounce has introduced into the country.
So there's a lot of information which you don't want to miss, so do tune in to CNBC TV 18 tomorrow. So that's it, Bert. We'll catch up with people next
That's it,
week.
guys. Thank you for being with us over this weekend as well. And we will catch you again next Friday with more stories. One of them would possibly be the Maybach. So, yeah, stay glued to your seats. Fingers crossed, we'll have that story ready for you over the next weekend.
All right. See you.
See you guys. Good night.